I feel like we should be saying ciao.
Or Guten Tag.
Yeah, very European theme to this podcast. Hello, I'm Rashmi Roshan Lal.
And I'm Michael Macy.
Welcome to This Week Those Books Aloud, where we've been marking a very big birthday.
This week, Those Books is all of 1 year old.
And we've grown from an idea into a community of more than 10,000 subscribers in 113 countries. Happy birthday to the This Week Those Books community. Thank you for being with us.
But I'm guessing we're not doing a birthday-themed podcast.
You guessed right, we're talking Europe, because so much just happened in Europe. So much is happening in Europe, and so much is yet to happen in Europe.
So what is the big news story on Europe?
Big news stories, plural. There are 3. The Euro 2024 football tournament has begun. The leaders of the G7 industrialized countries had a summit in Italy. And the European Union's parliament was elected from across 27 countries. Results came in earlier this week and the far right improved its showing, which could be an indication of how the bloc has evolved from a post-national liberal project to an entity that includes many insular political forces.
Well, that sounds complex. Should we look at the reading pile to see if it helps us understand that shift?
Sure.
Well, our first book is Euro Whiteness, Culture, Empire, and Race in the European Project by Hans Kunani. It's really quite an unusual book by quite an unusual writer.
Yes. Kunani is British born and bred, and he's the son of Indian and Dutch parents. He voted against Brexit, but he isn't convinced that the European project is, in his words, an expression of cosmopolitanism. So quite a few contradictions in there.
Yeah, he's pointed to the European Union's hostility to immigrants and Islam. And he writes that, well, most people think that the EU stands for diversity and inclusion and opposes nationalism and racism. He thinks it may be better understood as an expression of regionalism, which he says is analogous to nationalism, but on a larger continental scale.
I found it particularly interesting when Kunani suggested that European integration after World War II actually helped the former European colonialists join together to continue to project power on the global stage. And he says that the EU served as a vehicle for imperial amnesia, even allowing the former colonizers to once again hail their new civilizing role in the world, which in this case was the integration of Central and Eastern European countries in the bloc.
Well, it sounds like a thought-provoking book, and you certainly are closer to the colonized experience than I am, so you picked up quicker on it than I did. What's the second book?
Kairos. It's a novel. The author is Jenny Erpenbeck, and it was translated from German by Michael Hoffmann. Last month, the novel won the International Booker Prize for Translated Fiction.
Well, what's the story?
Well, this book is ostensibly about a doomed love affair, but it also threads another story about the power balance in relationships, notably between a country and its citizens.
Sounds complicated for a love story.
Yeah, but the basic plot is quite simply told. Katharina, who's 19, and Hans, who's 53, are citizens of communist East Germany, a state that is collapsing by the time they meet in 1986. They fall in love despite the age difference, or perhaps because of it, and they also fall in love despite the fact that Hans is married and has a son. Eventually, there are problems in their relationship, even as pressure is building for the Berlin Wall to come down. This is a story about a love and a country that no longer exist. But, and this is interesting, that vanished country is now so much a symbol of European integration.
Well, very fitting. And thank you for listening. We'll be back next week.
Ciao.